Ladies and gentlemen, Side Strafe here with what could be considered a nostalgia night. For those of you that don't know, I used to have a series of videos that were dedicated to taking a look at some of my favorite games of the past. However, in this case, I never really got to play this game. This is, of course, Red Orchestra Ostfront 4145. And I'm not sure what I was doing at the time, but wow, was I missing out. This title is fantastic, even by today's standards. Now, I'd like to make this clear, this is not a review or first impressions, because most of the footage you're going to see is just of Bombadil and I in armored vehicles. I don't really have any footage of us as infantry, because we wanted to play this mostly because we're looking for a good tank game, something that offers more of a simulation-like experience, and we felt that this really delivered. It's a bit simple in some cases, but honestly, it really hit the spot when it came to satisfying our hunger for a tank game. In this first bit of footage, you'll notice that we're in the Martyr 3. This is a self-propelled gun or tank destroyer of sorts. And it has 3 crew positions, one for the driver, one for the commander/gunner, and one for a machine gun operator on the right. And you can see that we've got different choices of ammunition there, APC-BC and high explosive. And, you know, we're not familiar with any of these maps. Some of them, I think, were community created maps. We weren't sure which ones were official and which ones were modded in later, but we just tried to make do with what we had, and most of this is, of course, a learning experience for us. A lot of the shots you'll see me take are me trying to test out the penetration properties of the vehicles and, you know, see how things work. It seems like for the most part, if you have a target, obviously you just want to try to flank it, hit it in the sides or the rear. Here you're going to see us run into some trouble, and I believe the tank on the left is an IS-2, and I think maybe the one on the right might be a T-34-85. I'm not 100% on this just because it's really smoky and foggy, really hard to tell, but you can see we're able to put a shot in on the one on the right, and I think that set him on fire, at least he's smoking. The one on the left that I'm shooting at now, I just couldn't get through, which is why I assumed it might be an IS-2. You can see that that one is still smoking. I go ahead and put another shot into him, which now sets him on fire. And there's the kill confirmation top right. Still firing at what, again, looks like an IS-2, mostly because I'm noticing that muzzle brake. Bombadil opening up on the MG, but unfortunately it's a friendly. I believe I was yelling at him most of the game to learn to identify uniforms, as that can be tricky within the Red Orchestra series. But I don't think that this IS-2 knows where we're at, and we need to wait for him to maybe expose that side armor as he's looking to move here, it seems, maybe perhaps switching into that driver position. I think he's on his own. There it is, shot out into the side, on fire. Game over for him. There's the kill confirmation. Now, right off the bat, you're probably noticing, hey, there's more vehicles in this game, and there's a lot more than what you're seeing here. And in fact, if you get the free mod Darkest Hour, which adds American and British, you get a lot more vehicles. Fireflies, different Sherman variants, Wolverines, Jacksons, you name it, they've got it. A lot of the classics are available, and it's nice to see that variety. Whereas in Red Orchestra 2, Heroes of Stalingrad, you get 2 tanks. And that's super disappointing, and especially considering the fact that there are very few maps that actually utilize them. More than that, though, you can't help but just feel immersed in a real combat situation. And it has nothing to do with the visuals, because let's face it, this game came out sometime in 2006. It's using the old Unreal 2.5 engine. It's definitely showing its age. It's a very tired-looking game, but it's just the gameplay that's got you immersed. And the fear that you feel, especially when you run into something like this, which appears to be a Zu-152. At this point, I'm saying, Bombadil, we probably shouldn't be shooting at this guy. Back up, back up, back up. Let's get out of here right now. If he shoots, we're dead, and it's just too late. Definitely need to recognize your armor. In that case, we shouldn't have been fighting him at all. We should have just ran for the hills. But it is what it is. It's time to jump into the Tiger. Now, of course, I'm sure many of you are noticing that this game also does feature interiors. They're not as detailed as the ones that you get in Red Orchestra 2, but again, you do get more tanks out of this title. Now, you can imagine for a modeler, an animator, a texture artist, all that, the amount of time it would take to create high detail interiors. You can see Bombadil's face on the outside there while we're looking through the scope. You can imagine the amount of time and effort that would go into making these interiors for just one tank. Maybe it even takes a couple of months to get it all done, because you're not only making the tank interior, but you're animating everything, you're putting crewmates in there, and that's a lot of work. But again, you only get 1 or 2 tanks, whereas you could maybe cut out some of that and have several more. So I think at the end of the day, I'd rather have the tank variety if I had to choose. Now sure, our ideal game would have every tank, you know, that we really want, most of the iconic vehicles with those rendered interiors, but you know, I was really happy with even just what we were provided here in Ostfront and even within Darkest Hour. With that said, however, make sure that you keep in mind that Darkest Hour was built by a separate team of developers, modders really, and it actually in some cases looks worse than Ostfront, if that's even possible. The texture resolution on the tanks and the interiors is pretty bad, but you still get some really good gameplay out of it, and there's a lot to enjoy, just content-wise. Again, they're not going to win any beauty pageants anytime soon, but the fun is definitely in the gameplay. Back to the action here. You can see that that turret rotation speed is killing me. We've got our first target. Will the 88 make up for it? 1 shot, 1 kill. The answer is definitely yes. Now, I believe the sighting systems on some of the tanks are adjustable. I just wasn't aware of how to manipulate them. I need to take a look at my controls. I again think that they're adjustable. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw somebody changing the elevation in a video. All in all, though, I remember during this play session, Bombadil and I kept talking about how sad it was that we had to go back to 2006 to enjoy this type of experience, that developers are too afraid to jump into something like this again, that it's more about the money than anything else. And yes, developers, publishers, they've all been about the money for a very long time, but I feel that nobody's taking risks anymore, which is why I can enjoy a game like Titanfall, a game that tries to do something different. In Red Orchestra 2, Heroes of Stalingrad, they had made a critical mistake by launching with arcade modes. They tried to cater to a different audience because they wanted a larger player base. They wanted more money, and all it did was upset their true fans. And they tried to make up for it, but it was too little, too late. Here we're about to come across another target. We've stopped the tank, and I'm trying to bring that turret around. He's not looking at us. Shot out right into the front. Single target. He was by himself. You can either drive or you can shoot, but you can't do both, and he chose to drive there, and that was the end of him. And by the way, I don't want to make it sound like I'm speaking ill of Red Orchestra 2 or Rising Storm. They're good games, it's just that they probably could have been a lot better. And in fact, I recall Tripwire Interactive apologizing for the launch of Red Orchestra 2 at the time they released the Game of the Year edition. It was because they knew that they let their original community down. They didn't provide them with a true sequel. They catered a little bit too much towards a different audience, and that really hurt them. And while I think that Rising Storm is actually pretty popular for them, I don't even know that it's really a true successor to what we have here, especially if you were to sample some of the infantry combat that this game and Darkest Hour provides. Here you can see we've stopped the tank, and Bombadil had called out a target to the left. I'm trying to bring that gun around. Shot out a little too late, just clips him, not enough to take him out, and we're taken out from a target that we weren't paying attention to on the right. And guess what? That was the guy that we had eliminated earlier. He respawned and got his revenge, and that is a prime example of why respawning in a lot of titles, especially a tank game, is problematic. I had been talking about this in regards to War Thunder. but you can see the dilemma it poses in this game as well. It's more so an issue in smaller maps, and that one was pretty tiny, but usually we don't run into that kind of thing when we're in the larger maps. In any case, we needed to be paying a little bit more attention. Driver probably should have been looking to the right while I was engaging the target to the left, but this was our first time playing this game, and we don't have a lot of experience coordinating a tank crew, so it's you know, something to get used to. Now, I'd like to mention that Bombadil and I did take turns as driver and gunner. It's just that out of the footage I have, I thought you'd like to see a little bit more of the gunnery action. If we do any more, I'll be sure to include some of the driver position and bow gunner. Let's see, we've got yet another target here, trying to line up those guns. Somebody ejecting from their tank, it looks like there. One shot into the side. He appears to be smoking now, trying to wait for that reload. I'm hoping that they're not going to get their sights on me. Another one out. He's down. Kill confirmed. This guy keeps popping out of his tank. I'm not sure what he was doing, but waiting for that round up. Out. Looks like it goes low. Time to turn on the coax. And we pepper him. He is down. Another successful engagement. This is, of course, the Panzer IV 75mm long barrel gun. You know, it's funny to think that I've been sitting here showing you all of this armored combat footage, and then you realize that there's also a major infantry component here that's handcrafted and well balanced. It's sad that we had to go all the way back to 2006 to find this experience again. And the same can be said for many other titles that come from the 90s that I grew up with. And I've had enough, ladies and gentlemen. I really have. We spend $60 on these supposedly AAA titles that are just rehashes of what we had the last year. And we're going to keep getting this if we keep paying for it. So it's up to us to stop. We need to stop pre-ordering and purchasing all of this garbage. We need to put our foot down, because without us, these games, they don't exist. Do yourself a favor. Load up a classic. Support an independent developer. Do whatever it takes to bring passion back to gaming and the development process. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you on the next one.